Flanking out the goods off New Braunfels and Mason Street. Fried zucchini, poppers, mozzarella sticks, Euro plates, fresh rice, and the pita bread. This pizza, though, the Euro pizza, top tier. You can get chicken tikka out there as well. And this buffalo pizza, all their pizza. It's crazy how much assortment and variety they have on the menu. Plus, get 8 bone-in chicken wings for $10.99. Look at that. You can get the tzatziki sauce on top of this pizza. There is nothing else like this in the Alamo City. So good. Loaded calzones. And look how big these steamy calzones are. Dip it in that marinara sauce, go to town. These things are so good, loaded up. Look at all that in the inside. That's a Euro meat calzone. Nothing like it out here. Y'all gotta go check them out. The menu is stacked. Here's a shot of the menu. Go check them out. They have great prices, great deals. Address on the screen. Pizza and Grills where it's Get juicy marinated chicken in San Antonio at Pollo Pepe, the first location in the United States. This chain from Mexico is loaded up with flavor, and they are serving up the goods. Check that out. Freshly chopped grilled chicken, and this stuff is so delicious. I mean, falling right off the bone, and that flavor goes deep down into the meat. Hand-rolled flautas as well. That chicken from the meat over there that you just saw gets chopped up, and then they put seasoning and then put them in the flautas. Fresh charo beans. They have the chiles toreados as well. You can get them for each of the family orders. Yeah, I just got it on the side. I gotta have a bite. They also have sweet tea. They have lemonade. They have horchata. And you know, I gotta dip it in this creamy green sauce. It's a little bit spicy, but big flavor. That meat is so good. This place is awesome. The flauta is also big flavor as well. Spice it up. Make sure you get a little pepper in there. The salads are really good. I'm telling you, this red salsa, green salsa, you're gonna put that on everything. Put the beans and the rice together with some of the green salsa. Next level tasty. This place is so cool. Pollo Pepe, it's been around since 1979. They're now here in the Alamo City. Address on the screen. You can get a 2-piece meal for under $10. I really don't know too many other places where you can get a bargain like that. Plus, the flavor is just out of control. And these family meals, perfect for everyone. There's so many different delicious bites. And those drinks, wash it all down with an ice-cold horchata.
Good Friday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Justin Horn with a look at your mid-morning forecast. The rain has come to an end. It was very light this morning.
Well, right now, our newsroom is pouring through 911 calls that the Kerrville Police Department just released today. Our Zaria Oates joins us for a live update on what we've learned so far. And it is marathon weekend, and runners are ready to race. What to be aware of, even if you're not lacing up.
Live from KSAT 12, the news at noon starts right now.
Well, the Kerrville Police Department has released the 911 calls made during the catastrophic July 4th floods in the Hill Country. Now, our team is working closely to listen to those calls, and that includes our Zaria Oates, who is in Kerrville right now. And Zaria, you were just handed this information just hours ago. What can you tell us?
Hey guys, yeah, we just got all of these 911 calls into the newsroom probably about 2 hours ago, and we've been looking through every single call, and we're still working to look through these 911 calls. We found out on Thursday afternoon when the chief of police with the Kerrville Police Department released a statement on Facebook saying that there were 435 total 911 calls on July 4th. During that deadly flood in the Hill Country. We also know that that first call regarding the floods came out at about 2:52 a.m. Many of these calls are incredibly difficult to listen to, but our goal in requesting this information is to better understand how many people needed help, if there were enough resources available to help these people, and exactly what resources were deployed to help these people. We have been following this deadly flood for months now. Yesterday marked 5 months since that flood, and now we have access to so many calls from so many different people. I've been listening to some of these calls, and they are heartbreaking to listen to. We also do know that there were 2 911 dispatchers working during July 4th flooding in Kerr County. We know that from the chief of police from the city of Kerrville. He put that information out on Thursday as well when he sent out that release. We also know that Ingram ISD put out a statement for parents to let their children know, to be aware of what media their children are consuming, because this is going to be difficult. We at KSAT are not going to release all of these 911 calls in full by any means, but there is a possibility that some of these will make it to the internet. And so Ingram ISD wanted parents to warn their children and then to also just be vigilant of what their children are watching. And that goes for anyone in the Hill Country and really just anyone on the internet, because this is such a big release of information. We know at least 8 other news outlets have access to these calls, including us here at KSAT. And as we work to learn more information from what's in these calls and the information relayed between different dispatchers, we will put that information online as it's available and as that information is beneficial and informative to the community. And we will also update you on air. Live in Kerrville, I'm Zaria Oates, KSAT 12 News.
All right, Zaria, thank you for that live report. And warming up a little bit out there, Shelby.
Yes, very much, Stefan. And it's really still a little chilly for us, and that cloud deck really hasn't allowed that sun to peep through, letting us warm up for most of us. It was a chilly morning, and we still haven't seen a widespread freeze for most of us here in San Antonio. Take a look at the low temperatures this morning. 45 degrees reported at the airport, 43 up in Austin, 41 Fredericksburg, 41 Rock Springs, 43 degrees out as you head towards Houston. So most of us were sitting in the 40s this morning. So it was very much fall-like, winter-like, and we are still going to see a slight increase in our temperatures this afternoon, but not as much as everyone would like. We're still going to see those overcast skies. Our peak temperature is about 55 degrees, but we're going to stay dry. All of that light drizzle and the rain that we saw earlier has finally pushed out of our area. And with that, most of it's still to the south of us. We're talking about Freer, Laredo, Cotulla could see some light drizzle. And we're seeing a very thin layer of some sunshine peep through between Junction and Kerrville, and that's going to make their way closer to our neck of the woods. Still, though, especially if you're going out for the 5K tonight, it still might be a little chilly. We're talking about temperatures in the 50s. Some could even get to the 40s overnight tonight. Still seeing that light variable wind. And for the half and the full marathon on Sunday, we're talking about waking up in the 50s for the runners, but the sun is going to come out. I'll talk about the future cast of what you can expect tonight into tomorrow, especially for football, coming up in just a bit.
All right, thank you, Shelby. We look forward to that. Well, it is race day weekend and runners are ready to hit the pavement. And even if you're not taking part, this still affects you because there's going to be several road closures out there. RJ Marcus walks us through this new route, which includes scenic and historic neighborhoods like King William and Olmos Park.
Well, we're getting ready for the inaugural 2025 San Antonio Marathon. We're expecting thousands of runners to lace up their shoes and hit the streets throughout a Sunday morning. So let's talk about the route that you're going to be taking and some road closures that you need to be aware of. First of all, we're going to start downtown Main Plaza area, and then the route's going to take our runners all the way to the King William Historic District. These closures will be in place from 3 o'clock in the morning until later on in the afternoon. How about the Pearl area? So our runners are going to go up to the Pearl area, kind of the St. Mary's area, and then make their way up to River Road, that neighborhood, and we have those closures in place from 6 o'clock in the morning to noon. Again, these are projected times when they expect the most runners to kind of make their way through there. Now we go up to the Trinity area, Trinity University, the San Antonio Zoo. So it's going to be affecting all of our drivers that are coming up on 281, also parts of Mulberry Avenue, as we get all of our folks that are headed to the Monte Vista District. Again, these Sunday closures in place from 6 o'clock to noon as well. Let's take you a little bit further up north, and here we have Olmos Park. Okay, great. Olmos Park. Cannot wait to see Olmos Park part of this marathon. These closures are going to be in place 6 o'clock in the morning to 1:15 p.m. over to Alamo Heights. So this will be kind of affecting all of our folks over in McCullough, Alamo Heights, obviously New Braunfels, Hildebrand, and 281 as well. These closures will be in place until 1:15 on Sunday afternoon. And then Menke Park, this is going to be affecting a lot of our folks in the Broadway area, the Broadway district, also over by Fort Sam. And then we're going to go south to the West Fort Alliance district. These closures will be in place from 6 o'clock in the morning to 11:05, and we're going to wrap things up back where we started, close to the downtown area. Finish line over at Hemisphere Civic Park by the Gonzalez Convention Center. A big congrats to all of our runners and everyone taking part in the San Antonio Half Marathon and the full marathon. We're going to have all this information on KSAT.com. Again, these closures taking place Sunday morning through the early part of Sunday afternoon. Be safe out there, and good luck to everyone participating.
All right, thank you, RJ. And 3 weeks after the government shutdown ended, some San Antonians still struggling. So our KSAT anchor Stefania Jimenez spoke with reps from the San Antonio Food Bank and Parenting Plus, who said demand for their services has not returned to pre-shutdown levels, meaning it is up to them to fill that gap and meet that demand.
We would estimate that maybe in January we might see a little bit more relief, but the fact is the water rises, the need rises, and then it slowly goes down and oftentimes doesn't go back to that initial watermark.
Well, here's some data that the food bank gave KSAT towards the beginning of the summer. It fed about 105,000 people every week. Then that number increased to 120,000. And when the government shutdown happened, that number peaked at 170,000. However, even now, those numbers have not gone down to what they were before the shutdown. And if you notice, we have a QR code there up on your screen right now this whole time. It directs you to our website, where we also have the story along with links for you to donate to the food bank and also Parenting Plus. Well, on Wednesday, President Donald Trump pardoned Congressman Henry Cuellar, who was facing numerous federal charges. And today, our Erica Hernandez spoke to Cuellar about that pardon that apparently his own daughters requested without his knowledge. You can hear what he has to say later this evening. In just about an hour, we're expected to get new information from the family of Texas A&M student Brianna Aguilera. Now, she passed away after falling from a 17-story apartment balcony in Austin. Now, attorneys for Brianna's parents are scheduled to have a press conference at 1 this afternoon in Houston. We're going to be live streaming this on KSAT.com. And in a news conference yesterday, Austin police now said they found a suicide note and other evidence indicating self-harm. Her mother, though, refusing that claim, accusing Austin police of ignoring key evidence and saying there was no way her daughter would take her own life. And if you or someone you know is struggling right now, you're not alone. You can reach the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline by calling or texting 988 or using that chat box at 988lifeline.org. You could also text MHA to 741-741 to reach the crisis text line. Well, it is a beautiful light display that's now here in San Antonio. We're talking about Illuminate. So later on the news at noon, we're going to take a look at what it would cost you to go. Well, coming off that magical win against Orlando, the San Antonio Spurs are back in action tonight. They're going to be in Cleveland to play the Cavaliers. So tip-off is set for 6:30 p.m. Go Spurs, go.
Go Spurs, go. And good news is after the rain, although it was light, we did see the aquifer go up 0.2 of a foot. But not only that, we also saw molds still remain sitting at low levels. Didn't see any increase, but the latest forecast of what you need to know after the break.
Well, Illuminate San Antonio opened right before Thanksgiving, and don't worry, you have plenty of time to catch this beautiful light display. Now, the exhibit will remain open for the rest of the year and until January 11th, 2026. And we wanted to give you a sneak peek of what it will cost you to go. Welcome to Illuminate here at the San Antonio Botanical Garden. If you haven't been, you will find beautiful handcrafted lanterns, glowing trails, and larger-than-life sculptures. Let's get to the cost to get in. That actually varies depending on when you decide to go. So for adults, that will range between $23 and $31. Admission for kids will be between $18 and $24. And for babies 2 and younger, they get in for free. I can tell you that if you go on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, it will cost you a little more. And if you get your ticket the same day, that will also cost you more. Well, we're inside the carriage house, and look at the Dos Perros hot chocolate. However, it's a little hot outside, so my daughter got a Coke. Concessions are not listed on the website, but at the carriage house inside the Botanical Garden, a Coke will cost about $2.50. And there was another vendor along the beautiful glowing trail with a bunch of snacks. Just to list a few of them, popcorn was $10, the lemonade was $10, and the chicken tenders were $12. It's really pretty out here and a great place to take selfies with your family and friends. Well, also just a reminder that no cash will be accepted and you can't bring in your own food and drinks inside. So as far as parking, it's $20 first come, first served parking available for pre-purchase online only. However, The free overflow parking is available on Old Austin Road, which is about less than a mile, so 0.8, and you can walk to the entrance. So I suggest free, definitely. Well, there's plenty more going on this weekend, so check out the Things to Do section of KSAT.com to see the full list. It includes some freebies like a screening of The Grinch. That's happening tonight at 6:30 at Mission County Park on Padre Drive. And there's also the Krampus Parade, which is back for a second year. That parade is going to start at 7:30 tonight on Piedra Street. That happened last year, and there was a big turnout. Yeah.
There was a lot of people in the newsroom. Everyone was talking about the Krampus Parade. But the good news is that the weather's going to be a little warmer this weekend. It still might be a little chilly tonight if you're going out and about, so keep that in mind. But the weather stuff, especially for the runners, it's going to be beautiful. So let's take a look at the forecast. We've been talking about that light drizzle the last few days, and really over San Antonio, there is still a little bit getting picked up on authority radar. But most of it's already gone just to the south of us. So there is still some good news. And if you are traveling to the south or even closer to Houston, that's where we're still seeing most of the rain. We're talking about towards I-35 and I-37, towards Cotulla, Laredo, Beeville to Corpus Christi, Victoria, seeing a little bit towards Houston. But really, most of it's lighting up in San Antonio. We're still left with that cloud coverage though, and that's been allowing our temperatures to still sit a little on the cooler side. Now, how cool? Even at just 12-17, we're sitting in the 50s and the 40s. 49 degrees in Seguin, 47 Floresville, 50 Castroville, 51 at the San Antonio Airport, 49 in Canyon Lake. So we are still expecting our temperatures to slowly but surely increase throughout the next few hours. So if you are going to any football games tonight, you still might want to bring a jacket because we're really not going to see any more sun. We're still going to see those mostly cloudy skies, maybe even still some overcast. Peak temperatures at about 55 to 56 degrees. And even though we don't have a sun to set, so we're not going to see that temperature cool down very quickly, we are still going to see the temperature still be on the cooler side in the low 50s, even some upper 40s as you're waking up tomorrow morning. And it's because of all that cooler Canadian air that's really been allowed to feed its way down to South Texas with some gusty northerly winds and that cold front we've seen the last few days. So some areas are still feeling the wind chill temperatures, especially in portions of the northern states. And that good Arctic cooler air is finally pushing its way off the coast up into Maine. But really, temperatures are still sitting cooler for most of the country, except if you want to see some warmer temperatures, just go towards Miami and Orlando. They're the only ones in the country still sitting in the 80s. 37 degrees in Omaha, 29 in Washington, D.C., but we're still tracking some cooler air, especially up in Canada. We're talking about 3 degrees above zero in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, 22 below in Hay River. Now, I mentioned the temperatures in Canada because we're expecting some of the cooler air in Canada to make its way closer to San Antonio. Now, it won't happen for a while, and most of the country throughout the next few days are still going to see some of that cooler air. But on Sunday, we're tracking another cold front, and that's going to allow some of that cooler air to feed in just for a few days. We're not talking about our peak temperatures in the 50s. We are still talking about having our peak temperatures in the mid to low 60s, some staying in the 50s. But that's going to be on Sunday into Monday, getting a little bit of that warmer air. But what we're watching is next weekend too. We're tracking yet another push of some of that cooler Arctic air making its way down. The soonest we could see it, well, we're talking about possibly next Friday into the weekend, but it's still a week away. So we'll continue to keep you posted on the latest forecast and that cold front that's coming through this weekend. Sunday into Monday, well, we're watching specifically the hill country. Some areas have already seen that light freeze go through. But what I'm specifically watching is Tuesday morning. In San Antonio, we'll be at about 37 degrees. I wouldn't be surprised if a few folks in the hill country do get to right around freezing, so keep that in mind. And the sunshine is really going to continue for most of the week, especially starting the week, and that's going to allow our temperatures in the afternoon to warm up into the mid 60s, even talking about 70s. For the weekend, the first weekend of December, especially for the San Antonio Marathon, the runners. I'll have your forecast on if you'll have a headwind or tailwind coming up later on.
Thank you, Shelby. Well, Bexar County is getting a boost to help them fight potential wildfires. However, it might take a while. Details after the break. Well, could $1,000 be given to all newborn babies in Texas? That's an idea that Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick is proposing. So he believes there should be a state program to invest $1,000 in the stock market for every baby born in Texas. That's being modeled off a federal plan created as part of President Donald Trump's tax and spending legislation. He calls it the New Little Texan Savings Fund and says it would cost about $400 million a year, which is less than 1% of the state's current two-year budget. Now, the plan is facing some backlash from conservatives who say the program would increase state spending and expand government. Right now, the measure is being proposed to be discussed during the 2027 legislative session. Well, Bexar County is getting $1 million worth of new heavy firefighting equipment. However, it will be a while before it arrives. In the meantime, those winter winds and the ongoing drought mean that there's a wildfire risk right now. Pashada Pope tells us how the county fire marshal will ask for some temporary help until that equipment arrives.
Back in March, we watched as wildfires spread across South Bexar County, destroying several structures, including homes, forcing evacuations, and scorching almost 600 acres. Since the county fire department didn't have their own firefighting bulldozer, crews had to wait for the Texas A&M Forest Service to deploy one to San Antonio from the Hill Country.
Unfortunately, when they get them deployed here, they end up in Fredericksburg. So if we have a fire and we call for those assets, they're coming from Fredericksburg.
But that won't be the case come next year. Bexar County commissioners recently approved $1.1 million in county funds to buy requested equipment for Bexar County.
So we'll be getting a firefighting dozer. The dozer is going to have a large truck and trailer to be able to transport it to any of the scenes. A firefighting skid steer that can get into tighter areas than a big bulldozer.
Had the county had these pieces of equipment, would that have changed you all's response and ability to put out the fires sooner?
It would have.
Chris Lopez serves as the Bexar County Fire Marshal and the county's Emergency Management Coordinator. He says in March, they ended up using a bulldozer and an operator from Public Works, which added to the need for the county to buy its own.
You're talking about civilian dozer operators who, for lack of a better way of putting it, they're not used to putting their life on the line every day. Supervisors who called me directly, and they were very concerned about their people and their safety.
Lopez says the county skid steer is scheduled to arrive in a few months, while the bulldozer is set to be delivered in mid-2026. But he says he'll be asking commissioners to approve a firework restriction as we head toward New Year's Eve celebrations.
We will be making the recommendation for the restriction of sales of the rockets with sticks and missiles with fins to our commissioner's court.
Fireworks are legal out in the county, but Lopez says these restrictions could help prevent fires. Pashada Pope, KSAT 12 News.
I'm ABC's Perry Russell in Washington. President Trump says he supports releasing video of the controversial boat strikes from September to the public. That story coming up.
Well, as you are shopping for the holidays, that Christmas wish list isn't the only thing you need to think about. So there's loose magnets and toys, water bottles with loose handles, and tablets with dangerous batteries, all posing some safety risk this holiday season. Now, our content gatherer, Avi Mira, shares what you need to look for.
Got any of these around the house? More than 9,000 Crayola pip cubes are recalled because the magnets may come loose, which is a serious risk to children if swallowed. While no injuries have been reported, the Consumer Product Safety Commission says these should not be given to kids. They were sold in stores and online at Michael's and Amazon. Contact Crayola for a free replacement. More than 10,000 writing tablets sold on Amazon are also being recalled because the battery could be swallowed. No injuries have been reported, but you can request a free replacement. Just email the company with photos of the recalled tablet. Around 17,000 Hydro Jug sports tumblers are being pulled after more than 600 reports of handles coming loose. These were sold at Academy Sports, Ace Hardware, Amazon, and others. You can get a free replacement from the company by emailing order information. For specifics on how to handle these recalls and more, look for this story under the consumer section of our website, KSAT.com, or just scan that QR code. Avery Mira, KSAT 12 News.
Well, consumer spending has cooled off in September and inflation rose to the highest level in nearly a year and a half. That's according to some data released Friday by the Commerce Department. The September report was delayed because of the government shutdown. Now, the Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index, the Federal Reserve's preferred inflation gauge, rose 0.3% on a monthly basis. So that brought annual inflation to 2.8%, a rate last hit in April of 2024. So Americans also reined in their purchases a bit in September. Spending rose about 0.3% from August and was flat when accounting for inflation. Vaccine advisors to the CDC have voted to stop recommending the hepatitis B vaccination to all newborns. Instead, they recommend parents decide when or if their children should receive the vaccine. For those babies that don't receive the vaccine at birth, the panel recommends waiting until the babies are at least 2 months old to administer it. The vote was 8-3, and the group was handpicked by Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who fired the advisory board that was in place when he took office. Now, Kennedy has been a longtime critic of vaccines. Well, how bad is the traffic where you live? A new data survey is out that ranks the worst cities for driving. So Chicago was found to have the worst traffic in the U.S. this year. That's according to transportation analytics company INREX and its annual list of the most congested cities. So New York City dropped a notch this year to second. The rest of the top 5 in the U.S. are Philadelphia, Los Angeles, and Boston. The report found that the typical driver in the U.S. lost 49 hours to traffic this year. Now, that was 6 more hours than last year. So INREX report looked at cities across the globe as part of its data review, covering nearly 1,000 cities in 36 nations. And by the way, San Antonio is number 23 on the list. All right, speaking of traffic, we know a lot of people are counting the days to Christmas, but hey, take a look at this calendar. If you are making shopping or any dining plans for Christmas and New Year's around the Rim and La Cantera area, TxDOT released its holiday closure schedule for drivers on the city's northwest side. So RJ met with TxDOT spokesperson Jennifer Serold, who told him that this weekend will be the last weekend for major closures. Both lanes of I-10 will be closed starting tonight through the weekend. However, after Monday morning, drivers will be able to get through the interchange with no major construction concerns.
After this weekend, we will just have nightly closures for the next week and a half. And another way we're being flexible with the businesses is that those nightly closures will start at 11 p.m. instead of 9 p.m. Those major closures are coming towards an end since we have opened 7 of the 8 flyovers here at the interchange.
Well, this is some new video of the flyovers on the northwest side. TxDOT says they hope to open them by the 8th flyover by the middle of next year by Topgolf and also Andretti's.
And I know a lot of people are excited about those flyovers being open and excited that we're getting close to the end of the year. We should be seeing some cooler weather, taking a look outside with live cam. It's a chilly day for most of us here on Friday. Everyone's excited for some cooler temperatures and finally feeling like winter. Sadly, we're not expecting some winter-like temperatures for the weekend, but today we're still sitting in the 50s and 40s for most of us. 48 degrees in Victoria, 49 degrees in Beeville, sitting already in the 60s at Junction. And that's because what you see right in between Junction and Fredericksburg, it looks a little darker right here. That's actually some sunshine. So they've been allowed to see their air temperature warm up a little bit because that sun is heating them up. For us in San Antonio, we're still sitting at about 51 degrees for us here in the Alamo City. And throughout the next few hours, our temperatures, well, they really aren't going to increase too much. We're expecting our peak temperature to be about 55 degrees. Some might get to the upper 50s. Still seeing that cloud coverage be consistent throughout most of us. And that cloud coverage is also going to be a little chilly for some folks, especially if you're going out and about for one of the last few nights of high school football tonight. You might want to bring a blanket or even some hand warmers because it's still going to be a little chilly sitting in the low 50s. And this weekend, we are seeing a little bit of a warm up. Yes, our temperatures in the morning still might be a little chilly in the 40s and the 50s, but Saturday, 73 degrees. Sunday for the San Antonio Marathon, our peak temperature is at about 71. And we're still seeing that possibility of some wind gusts up to about 25 miles an hour, but it's still going to be warm. It's going to be perfect sitting in the 50s, even some 60s for the runners. I'll give you a San Antonio Marathon specific forecast coming up in just a few.
Thank you, Shelby. Well, the Pentagon striking another suspected drug boat last night as questions remain about a strike in September that killed 2 survivors. Now, lawmakers on Capitol Hill yesterday shown video of the strike that's raising some questions about a possible war crime. ABC's Perry Russum is in Washington with more.
The Department of Defense attacking another suspected drug boat, this time in the Eastern Pacific. The Pentagon says the strike yesterday killed 4 men on board, claiming they were narco-terrorists, without providing any evidence.
We've only just begun striking narco boats and putting narco-terrorists at the bottom of the ocean because they've been poisoning the American people.
It comes as lawmakers on Capitol Hill yesterday were shown video of multiple strikes against a suspected drug boat in September that killed 2 survivors. Lawmakers divided over what they saw.
You have 2 individuals in clear distress without any means of locomotion, with a destroyed vessel, who were killed by the United States.
Democratic Congressman Jim Himes describing the second strike as an attack on defenseless survivors of a first strike, an act that would violate international law.
What I saw in that room was one of the most troubling things I've seen in my time in public service.
Republican Senator Tom Cotton says he did not see anything disturbing in the video, claiming the survivors were trying to salvage their suspected drug cargo.
I saw 2 survivors trying to flip a boat loaded with drugs bound for the United States, back over so they could stay in the fight.
Some House Democrats are calling for the Justice Department to launch a war crimes investigation into that second strike.
Let me be very, very clear. Striking shipwreck survivors is a war crime, straight up. You cannot say that is not a war crime. And we need an investigation opened by the Department of Justice.
President Trump says he supports releasing the video of the incident to the public. Lawmakers say the Navy admiral who conducted the strikes told them Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth did not give an order at the start of the mission to kill everybody on board the boat. Perry Russum, ABC News, Washington.
Well, we have a few more hours of chilly weather. You got that heater out. Make sure that you're staying safe. What you need to know. Also, a festive event helping folks get into the spirit of the season where you can see 400 nativity scenes from all over the world.
Well, we're watching some cooler temperatures not only today but tomorrow before a warm-up returns starting Saturday afternoon into the weekend. Could even have a slight impact for the marathon runners. I'll give you your forecast coming up.
Okay, top songs on Spotify for 2025.
Pearl Jam, Alive. This is the #1 song.
It's #1, Pink Pony Club.
Is a song called All That Jazz by the band Breathe from the 1980s.
#1 is Miles on It by Marshmello and Kane Brown.
And fun fact, I listened to so much Taylor Swift and not just one specific song that none of her songs made it in my top 5.
Okay, my top artists were Olivia Dean, Renee Rapp, Hozier.
All right, Taylor Swift, 2600 minutes.
#1, Taylor Swift.
SZA, Doja Cat, Drake, and #5 was Megan Thee Stallion.
David Bowie, I don't know where that came from. Baby Lullaby Academy, 371 nap time minutes in the car.
Spotify tells you your listening age, and mine's 50.
Oh no. Listening age 68.
Okay, maybe some Christmas music here. Here's something else to keep you in the holiday spirit. Today through Sunday, Seguin is holding an event for the community. It's called A Stroll to the Stable. And there will be 400 nativity scenes from all over the world. They will be on display all in one space, and you and your family can check them out, walk around, and also listen to holiday music at the same time. So earlier today, we spoke with an 8-year-old who assembled this nativity scene made out of Legos.
Like the star was the second hardest, and the angel, then the most hardest one that I kept getting confused on was the donkey. There's lots of pieces.
I think the things that you like about Christmas is what we're going to find here. So if you come through here, you're going to feel the things that you like about Christmas.
And this is the largest nativity scene on display at Stroll to the Stable. The city of Seguin and local churches work together to make it happen. And it is free. And it's also happening at the Nolte building at 101 East Nolte in Seguin through Sunday afternoon.
The way he was talking about his Lego nativity, oh, my heart.
And his heart was in it.
Oh, absolutely. But going back to Spotify, my Spotify age was perfect. It got 24. And it was funny because a lot of people were having their family plans.
Yes.
So they got a little of their family's music.
Yes.
Adam Caskey, though,
That was
Pony
on.
Club
That was
all
on. He's singing it in the newsroom all the time.
And although it doesn't feel like Christmas, you could still listen to some Christmas music or some fall music. It's not really feeling like winter, especially this weekend. For the runners, we're still feeling a little bit like winter, though. We're seeing our temperatures in the 50s right now, and that's because of that cloud coverage and some rain we're seeing just to the south of us. That cloud coverage really has allowed us to act like a blanket for our temperatures, allowing us to stay in the 50s, but we're starting to see a little bit of sunshine just to the west of San Antonio between Del Rio and the Hill Country, closer to Kerrville. But that also provided some rain the last few days, and the drought monitor was issued yesterday. So here's a look at last week's compared to this week's. For the drought monitor, as of last week, we still saw that extreme drought for portions of the I-35 corridor between Hondo, Medina Lake, even San Antonio. But what we also saw a few weeks ago was added for that extreme drought near LaGrange, Hallettsville, even going down towards Floresville. This was this week's drought monitor that was issued yesterday. A decent change for that extreme going through Hallettsville all the way down to Floresville. Still seeing a little bit of that extreme just to the east, but really that's the main difference we see from last week's to this week's. Yes, there was still a slight change just to the west of us, closer to Uvalde, but really up to Rock Springs, there was just some minor details. So we'll continue to keep you posted with the latest drought monitor as it gets released every week. But also remember that any light drizzle we saw the last few days wasn't included in yesterday's drought monitor. That will be included on next week's. But here's a look at the futurecast. Some light drizzle could potentially still stick around just to the south of us and the coastal plains throughout tonight and tomorrow morning. But really, that clear sky is going to try to feed in starting tomorrow morning right around sunrise. So yes, it still might be a little cooler in the mornings, waking up in the 40s, but by the afternoon, that sunshine is going to start to appear, allowing our temperatures to warm up. Now today, it still might be a little chilly, but tomorrow, 73 degrees in San Antonio, 76 in Freer. Traditionally, we should be in the 60s. That's closer to our average temperature. Like I mentioned, starting off in the morning, temperatures a little cooler in the 40s with that cloud coverage. In the afternoon, sunshine is going to be appearing, 73 degrees, and then we step back into the 50s right before the San Antonio Marathon. As you're waking up in the morning, still might be a little cooler, a little cold, or cool, but not cold. You're going to have that northerly wind gusting up to about 25 miles an hour, and it's going to be from the north. So keep in mind, you might have a headwind at some times, you might have a tailwind, and with that wind, you might get a little bit of those rosy cheeks, but the sun is then going to come out and it's going to be sunny. It's not going to be as humid as you're waking up, but take a look at some of the wind gusts starting today into the weekend. Wind gusts are going to be very calm at about 10 to 15 miles per hour. And then as we go into Sunday, we have that cold front moving through, and that's going to give us specifically Sunday morning throughout the midday, gusts up to about 25 miles an hour from the north. So we'll keep you posted, and all that northerly wind is going to allow some cooler temperatures, specifically Monday and Tuesday morning. A chance of some localized freezing being possible Tuesday morning, but not widespread. Sunny skies continue to allow our temperatures to warm up into the mid 60s, and some 70s return throughout the week before another cold front brings more 50s.
50s? We can handle that. Right, Shelby? Well, speaking of cold weather, though, if you got your space heater out this winter, there are some steps you should take to stay safe while you're getting warm. Details coming up after the break. Well, we have a sweet update to a story that we did on Wednesday. You remember Miss Tiger here in the picture with Japhanie Gray, the nursing home resident who was dedicating her time to knitting warm hats for those in need in our community. Now, she calls it Hats for Humanity, and in order to keep it strong, she needed more yarn. And guess what? You viewers came through. Yesterday, she actually texted Japhanie with pure happiness, saying that she received a big yarn donation to the Castle Hills Rehabilitation and Care Center. And we're also getting messages about what kind of yarn that she needs and where to send it. So you can scan that QR code there on the corner of your screen. You're going to see exactly how you can help Tiger. Well, this winter, the San Antonio Fire Department reminding everyone to use their space heaters safely. So firefighters are saying in the last 5 years that the space heaters have started several fires in the city, killing at least 2 people. And fire officials also say most of those deadly fires happen while people are asleep. The biggest reminders is plug heaters directly into a wall outlet, not a surge protector, and make sure there's nothing flammable within 3 to 6 feet. And when you're shopping for one, go ahead and look for some safety labels like UL or Intertech.
So that's just what you want to look for, because that just means that that this manufacturer has gone through the steps to ensure that this one is safe.
And also check for a tip over shutoff switch on the bottom. Most importantly, Arrington says never to sleep with a space heater on.